What's up, everybody? This is Chris Surratt bringing you another edition of the Car Concierge Show, the show that helps with the buying, selling, maintaining, and repairing of your vehicle. On today's show, we're going to talk about some dirty cops over in Chicago. We're also going to talk about a new recall, a new brake recall that GM's coming out on their Chevy Blazers. And last but not least, we're going to talk about Sean Diddy Combs. He is acquitted of his recent charges. Not all of them, but he was acquitted of the most major charges. So let's jump straight into it, shall we? Let's head over to Chicago, where in Chicago, of course, Chicago is Chicago. I love Chicago. Lots of families still out that way. Shout out to Ken and Keontae. But Chicago is a wild place. It's gone down a lot over the years. It's kind of hard for us to visit every year like we used to. You just standardly can't take the risk, specifically where my family lives in Chicago. But, Chicago does have its upsides. But one of the things that is not considered an upside in Chicago, it's police force. Now, recently, what we found is, of course, you see a couple of cops, and car accidents are pretty common. I know that for a fact. I work in the collision sector. But we get into a situation where, a person will get into a car accident, they'll report it, report it to insurance, get everybody taken care of, people get their cars fixed. Well, in this situation, let's see what the local news said first, because they some liars too. Let's see what the local news said first, and then we'll check out and see what really happened. So, this is a reader, so as always, bear with me. All right, and this is CBS News. SUV hits Chicago police squad car, 3 other cars on West Side. This is by Adam Harrington. Can't trust that cat. I'm going to tell you why later. This is from June 22nd, okay? A sport utility vehicle hit a Chicago police squad car and 3 other vehicles in the West Garfield Park neighborhood Sunday evening, police said. At 6:23 p.m., a Chevrolet Equinox was headed west on Monroe Street when it hit a marked police car that was traveling south on Cosner Avenue. The Equinox also hit a Dodge headed south on Cosner Avenue, police said. 2 parked Hyundais were also struck, police said. Police did not have information about injuries. Charges were pending late Sunday against the driver of the Chevy Equinox, police said. All right, so we're just going to jump real quick and check out another story, a more recent story. And this is from Yahoo Autos, Jalo Picnic, whatever that is. Chicago cops run stop sign, causes crash, charge the person they hit. And this is from Justin Hughes, and this is from today, Wednesday, July 2nd. All right. Surveillance camera footage appears to contradict the official story of a crash involving a Chicago police officer and a Chevy Equinox. The original story, as reported by CBS News on June 22nd, when the crash occurred, was that the Equinox was driving west on Monroe Street and crashed into the police car heading south on Cosner Avenue, sending both vehicles spinning into other parked cars. Police cited the Equinox driver for driving without insurance and 2 other counts, according to Fox 32. However, Fox 32 also acquired video from surveillance cameras at a convenience store at that intersection that tells a rather different story. The Equinox stopped at the intersection with Cosner Avenue, allowed cross traffic to pass, then proceeded slowly into the intersection. The Chicago police car entered the intersection at a high rate of speed while passing stopped traffic, slamming into the side of Equinox already in the intersection. Then both cars spun and crashed into parked cars, just like the original report said. The first parked car they hit was a Volkswagen Taos with Danielle Halsey, her fiance, and their 3 children inside. Damn. They were hospitalized in fair condition, and the Volkswagen is totaled. Sucks for them. There's no information on the injuries to the Equinox driver or the police officer, but deployed airbags in both vehicles are visible in the surveillance video. Airbags would not go off in a parked car, and there would be no reason to be wearing seatbelts. That's not true. And we're gonna watch the video. Let's watch the video.
different narrative than what's in the actual police report. This crash happened on June 22nd, just after 6 in the evening, right in the Garfield Park neighborhood.
They struck that lady, and she was basically hanging out of her vehicle.
Danielle House wants answers after seeing this video of the collision. The footage comes from convenience store cameras. It shows a Chevy Equinox stopping at a stop sign while heading westbound on Monroe. Seconds later, a Chicago police vehicle heading north on Costner drives around a line of stopped cars at the stop sign and crashes into the Equinox. Though the squad's lights appear to be on, the video has no sound, so it's unclear if sirens were activated.
It's totaled. It's totaled. $40,000 car totaled.
The impact sent both vehicles into houses parked Volkswagen Taos. The CPD squad hit the front while the Equinox slammed into the back. Other parked cars were damaged too. Inside the Volkswagen houses fiance and their 3 small children. All 4 were taken to the hospital in fair condition.
I feel very hurtful that they almost killed over 4 to 5 people. Thank God that did not happen. You know, us being civilians, you want us to hold up to the law. And I feel that the police officers are not above the law.
Despite the video, Chicago police say the Equinox hit them and cited the driver for 3 violations, including driving without insurance.
I have to pay $900, and these things will be on my... Of course, I have gap insurance, but it's not my fault. Of course, we have insurance. That's a $40,000 car.
This is House's 2024 SUV before the crash, and this is what it looks like now. She says she wants answers from Chicago police and accountability.
People on the west side of the community are people too. We have lives, we have jobs, we have children. We are integral people. We're not just anybody. And you cannot just do anything over here in a community that you don't even live in and then go back to your home and think it's going to be okay. There's a thing called you reap what you sow. And this is it.
I did reach out to the Chicago Police Department. They are sticking by their original statement. I did ask them if COPA is investigating. They told me to reach out to COPA. I did that. Haven't heard back, but House did say she has filed an official complaint with COPA. Tia Ewing, Fox 32 Chicago.
She was speaking, wasn't she? Oh, girl was pissed too. Lost her Volkswagen Taos. Yeah, she want answers. She don't want to pay that deductible to get. Man, she hit. She upset. Vehicle total. $40,000 car. That's a $40,000 car. Shout out to old girl. Shout out to old girl. So, what can we say, y'all? I mean, you know, it's the. What we're talking about is the privilege of you know, the authority of police and creating narrative and just liars. You know, the evidence is pretty evident with the security cameras that we have and all the cameras out in the world these days. The evidence is there. So the fact that the police even decided that they were going to take the path of lying about what happened and how the Equinox driver caused the accident, and they didn't even speak on, you know, charging the Equinox driver for some problems. Now, mind you, I think that the Equinox driver was driving without insurance or some other things. So they probably found some reason to, you know, make the Equinox driver a bad person. You know, you're not driving with your driver's license. You're not driving with insurance. That's a big thing when getting pulled over. And it's a lot. You know, I watch a lot of, you know, TV shows, cop TV shows and such. So you do see a lot of people that are driving without insurance or without their driver's license expired or something like that. So, you know, they're going to lay that on that person. But the fact of the matter is that person didn't cause this accident. The police did it. And the fact that we still have police, even in Chicago, that can just bold-faced lie about a person causing the accident that caused so much damage, because in the long run, if they were to go ahead with accusing this person of causing that accident, then all that stuff would be his fault. They'd blame him for destroying that young lady's Volkswagen Taos, all the other vehicles that were destroyed. They're going to charge him with destroying the police vehicle. And they said they're still sticking to their story. So we're definitely going to, you know, reevaluate this later and keep a watchful eye on this story, because if they're going to continue with this story and just try to destroy this person that was driving a Chevy Equinox's life, when we can all see for a fact that it wasn't their fault, then that's just horrible. And the fact that it's even possible that they could still go through with it and still stick to their story and bypass all the information that even we have, and and that young lady spoke true about, then that just tells you where our world still is in certain places. You know what I mean? So let's keep going. Let's jump into some real automotive news. So GM has come out with another recall. And you know how we talk about our recalls. So it's been a lot of recalls lately. Just aggressive amounts. We talked about several recalls last week. A lot of the recalls are brake related, which is some of the worst recalls possible, because those are definitely recalls that could cause people to get into car accidents or death. So we have to bring this to your attention. GM has come out with a new recall for their brand new 24 and 25 Chevy Blazer. And it's an electric Chevy Blazer, one of the nice models. It's just one of those things where I always tell people, you just don't want to buy a vehicle the year it comes out. And even me saying that has its holes, because if a person would have bought a 24 model one of these in 25, then they still would have had this brake issue. But the simple fact is that these new cars just do not have the research and development it is needed to avoid these massive, horrible recalls that could cause death. Let's check out this story.
Hey everyone, I just came across an important update from General Motors that's worth sharing, especially if you or someone you know owns a Chevy Blazer EV. GM has issued a recall for more than 40,000 of its electric Chevrolet Blazer SUVs due to a potential brake issue that could pose a serious safety risk. Here's the situation. According to a recent report from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, that is NHTSA, there's a problem with the wiring harness connected to the rear parking brake on some of these vehicles. What's happening is that the wiring could get damaged or corroded over time. This can either cause the parking brake to activate unexpectedly, or, on the flip side, prevent it from working at all, both of which can obviously lead to dangerous situations, including crashes. The recall specifically affects the 2024 and 2025 models of the Chevrolet Blazer EV. GM said they became aware of the issue after at least 4 customers reported receiving service parking brake alerts or were unable to shift out of park when trying to drive. That was enough to spark a deeper investigation, and now we've got a full recall affecting 40,233 vehicles. If you own one of these models, GM will be sending out official notification letters by August 11th, according to the NHTSA. Once you're notified, you'll need to visit a dealership where they'll inspect the wiring harness. If it's okay, they'll still reroute it and apply anti-abrasive tape to prevent future problems. But if it's already damaged, they'll replace it entirely, all free of charge. This kind of recall shows how important it is to stay on top of vehicle maintenance and be aware of manufacturer updates. Even brand new electric vehicles aren't immune to defects. It's also a reminder of how critical the parking brake system is, something we often take for granted. If you're not sure whether your vehicle is affected, you can go to the NHTSA website and search by your VIN, that is, Vehicle Identification Number. Or you can call Chevrolet's customer service directly at 1,800,222-1020 for help. So yeah, if you or someone you know drives a 2024 or 2025 Blazer EV, don't ignore this. It's a pretty big recall, and getting it fixed could prevent a serious accident. Stay safe out there, folks. Stay subscribed for more videos.
I don't know. All right, so once again, I talk about this so often, it's pitiful. With these newer model vehicles, the research and development is just not there. They just have to some degree, get it out there so they can get to selling it right real quick. This is an EV model, so you know that they had to get that out as soon as they could. Get it out there to compete with the other EVs that are out there. And of course, they're going to try to cut some corners. They're going to avoid doing some research. And then, of course, research and development is just completely and utterly not there. Now, real quick, we're going to check out this guy talking about the recalls, okay? And I don't agree with everything the man says, but he has some points. So I wanted to show y'all this statement on recalls, how he breaks it down. So y'all, because I talk about recalls so much, and I kind of understand that to some degree, there are people out there who don't know what recalls are, what they're about, and all those type of things. And I don't think that I've explained it extremely well, that you would really know what a recall is and why they're so important, and why you should maintain your car really well. Make sure that you get all the information. If you buy a new car, make sure all the information is going to the right addresses, because if you're one of those people that has businesses and other homes and stuff like that, you want to be able to see like recall notifications come in, because you don't want to be one of those people that and there's a lot of people out like that, but you don't want to be one of those people that doesn't do regular maintenance on a vehicle, and to the point where you wouldn't know that there's a recall in your braking system and it fails on you. Now, I'm not really extremely worried about this particular recall because it's on your parking brake, and specifically if you're from like Indiana, you barely even use your parking brake. The roads are so flat. And I would say that if you lived here in California or other mountainy places, parking brake is extremely important. But it's not one of those things that I can automatically say, because your parking brake is a situation that's used when you're parking. So it's not a situation where you're using your brakes while you're driving. So that in itself, takes away a lot of my fear of the recall causing you to die while you're driving down the road, okay? But it's still an important recall, and it still has to be taken care of. And a lot of people just don't know what recalls are, or make sure that they're checking to see if there's recalls for their vehicles. So we're going to check out a quick story, and it's from Steven Radella, and he's going to talk about recalls for a second.
We've seen a general trend in increasing numbers of recalls from starting about 10 years ago. It's been gradually going up. Some of that is due to, we think, more oversight in making sure manufacturers identify defects, as well as their own work that they've done to improve the data analysis that they have in their own companies to identify defects sooner. The recall is fixing or remedying a defect in either a component of the car or something about the car itself. Every recall is an unreasonable risk to safety, so the defect has to present itself as an unreasonable risk. And a lot of times that's something that happens unexpectedly that the driver of the vehicle experiences or the defect is known about.
That's not entirely true. I know there's a lot of recalls that are just like stickers, like a sticker for your tire label or a sticker for your VIN. There's really obscure recalls that don't have nothing with safety or your ability to drive. So just wanted to say that.
By the manufacturer. All components have been recalled over the years. I think people, if they're going to buy a vehicle, the first thing they should do is check to see if the vehicle has an open recall. But it shouldn't affect their purchase. I mean, if they find a vehicle that's free from recalls, it's fine. If it has a recall on it, they can ask if it's being sold by a dealer to fix it, or they can do it themselves after they purchase the vehicle. All those recalls are free of charge.
All right, so
for the ones who get it done, the most important.
All right, so that's what we're talking about, guys. Recalls are extremely important, and specifically now with all of these newer model vehicles, a lot of the recalls that we're talking about are for the 24 model years. And of course, that is to be expected, because if it was a vehicle that was created in the 21s and the 22s, then they'd be on the road for a decent amount of time. People would have been driving them. They would have seen the problems, hopefully reported them to the dealerships, and then those recalls would have been made, ordered, and those problems would have been taken care of for those vehicles. So it's basically what I've always said. If you're, and mind you, this is just me. And people, if you have the money and you want to buy a 2025 vehicle, and you can afford it, and you don't care about if it has to go to the dealership several times to take care of random recalls, or ran into problems that they didn't see when they were doing research and development, fine. I have no problems with that. But what I always say is that if you give a car a year on the road, then the people like you, if you're one of those people that buy a 2025 vehicle when the year 25 turns over, people like you are going to tell people like us that this vehicle has these particular problems. You're going to tell the dealership because it's going to be a brand new vehicle, so you're going to be going back and forth to the dealership. They're going to know about these problems. They're going to tell everybody else, and that's how these problems get fixed. But honestly, the only way to avoid these problems is if you get a vehicle that has already been on the road for a year. Why not get a 2024 and 2025? Now, mind you, in this recall, that might be a problem. And you know what I'm saying? It's probably just not a lot of EV Chevy Blazers on the road for people to really know what's going on with them. But there are now. People starting to talk about it, and people starting to report it. And they're reporting problems with the parking brake. All right. Last but not least, we're going to switch up because it's going to get crazy. Now, people are going to say, hey, Chris, this is the Car Concierge Show. Why are you talking about P. Diddy? Well, P. Diddy was charged with trafficking. It gives us the every right to talk about it. So, as everybody knows, Sean P. Diddy Combs has been on trial for quite some time for several horrible things. Horrible things, supposedly. Allegedly, is the word we're looking for. And as of today, he was acquitted of the majority of those things. There were things that he was found guilty of, but the things that he was found guilty of, you know, they're saying that he probably was just going to get time served and get out. So they expected him to get out today. So let's first start. Let me change up because you know what I'm saying. Can't get Chris the car concierge. Yeah. All right, let's go on here. All right, let's check it out. So let's check out Mr. Combs as he is acquitted on some charges.
Guilty on 2 counts and not guilty, acquitted on 3, including the most serious of charges. Ashley Banfield joins us now, my colleague and friend. Ashley, you have covered this extensively since the beginning. You know, it's been unfortunate that the public can't see what's going on inside the courtroom or hear what's going on because it's a federal case. However, you've talked to a lot of people who are very close to this case. Are you, one, surprised by the verdict, and two, how you expect the defense to try to get a lesser sentence for Diddy?
Yeah, I am. I'm as surprised at this as I was at Brian Koberger's plea deal, because I followed every letter of the law in the testimony and watching the exhibits, Marnie, and I checked every box. I just find it shocking that a jury couldn't put this together. But I'm sort of reminded of the long journey for women's sex rights, should I say, because in my lifetime...
I'm going to stop her right there. I'm going to stop her right there. All right, check this out. Okay, first off, we're not going to give Diddy a pass because we all of us seen him whoop Cassie ass. All right, we're not going to give the fool a pass. We're not going to do that. The dude is a bad dude. He in himself is part of the problem, and to be caught up in the problem itself, he should be ashamed of himself. But he's part of the problem. He's part of this whole attack on masculinity. Okay, there's a massive attack on masculinity, and this is the cornerstone of it. We've seen, and it's a particular attack on black masculinity, or black men in particular. We've seen so many powerful black men get attacked in this sort of way. We see Shannon Sharp. We've seen P. Diddy. Just so many situations where black men and their vices have been used against them. And that's the thing. depending on what the vice is, it in most cases it's not illegal. You know, if your vice is drugs, a lot of, men have been caught up because of their vice of being drugs, and that is a horrible vice. And it is one of those vices that they really can get you for. They can really throw you in jail because it's illegal. It's one of those vices that's illegal, so they can attack you for it. They know you're doing it. They can set you up in some way, shape, or form to take you down because of that vice. P. Diddy, his vice was freak-offs. His vice was having random sex with random people, and on top of that, his vice was having a whole bunch of people together to have sex. Now we know that he did, beat up on the young lady Cassie, but I don't even think that was one of the charges up against him. Look at the charges we have on this board: racketeering, conspiracy. I don't know if y'all understand what racketeering is, but it's like he created this empire so he could freak off. That's not illegal in itself. Sex trafficking. In cases of sex trafficking, in most cases, it had to be underage children, right? You know what I'm saying? You can't be sex trafficking, willing participants that were paid money to come over here and join this party. It's a party. If you can be attacked because of your desire to have sex, then men are in trouble all over the place. Men are in trouble. We should have this. We should learn from this. We should learn from the Shannon Sharps of the world. We stay away from the R. Kellys of the world. We ain't even going down that trippy road. But the fact that you can bring a man down just because he desires sex is outrageous. Let's keep going. Let's see what this lady got to say. She tripping.
A wife couldn't be raped by her husband, right? And so I sort of look at this as though a jury saw girlfriends can't be sex trafficked. A jury saw that if you're willing one day or 1 month or 1 year, and you're unwilling in another day or another month or a year, that doesn't count.
It don't.
And so that's what's...
all right, hold on. You're willing one day and you're not willing to next. So then when you're not willing, you have every right not to do it. And if they saw that they had every right not to do it, then it's not sex trafficking, it's not rape, it's not anything wrong. The attack on men has been so strong over the course of years. The Me Too movement, the Believe All Women's movement, and it continues today. All kinds of men's lives are destroyed just because of an accusation of a woman. And even in cases where the accusation is found to be completely and utterly untrue, the man's life will still be destroyed. It's that powerful. Let's keep going.
I think really troubling to me on this. And I think that no matter what, the government is certainly going to push for the maximum. I believe it's 10 years for the Mann Act federally for each count. And these are not the kinds of counts that you look at concurrently, right? Because these are different. They are different days. They are different victims. So these could be easily consecutive sentences, which would mean maximum 10 years each, which would mean a 20-year sentence. And in the federal system, you don't get as much time off for good behavior. You serve a lot of your federal sentences. So if he gets the max for each and he gets 20 years because it...
All right, let's check this out. The Mann Act, previously called the White Slave Traffic Act of 1910, as the United States federal law passed June 25th, 1910. Hold on. Is named, hold on. It was created to stop forced sexual slavery of women. Hold on, here it is. Legal app sheet, here you go. I'm checking out what the Mann Act is. In its original form, the act made it a felony to engage in interstate or foreign commerce transport of any woman or girl for the purpose of prostitution or debauchery, or for any other immoral purpose. Its primary stated intent was to address prostitution, immorality, and human trafficking, particularly where trafficking was for the purpose of prostitution. It's one of several acts of protective legalization aimed at moral reform during the progressive era. Bruh, he's being attacked by a law that started in 1910. Let's keep going.
It's consecutive. He would probably have to serve, I'm going to ballpark here, like 18. But yeah, I'm really astounded at this.
What's he getting 18 years for? I don't see nothing in his case talking about him beating up Cassie. That's the only thing I see him going to jail for. I don't understand why. See, and you can't. And here's the big thing. This is not women attacking men. This is soft ass, simp ass men attacking men, masculine, real men. This is what this is, because the women are, don't get me wrong, the women are part of the problem. Because the women have the ability to, women are men's greatest vice. They will always be a man's greatest vice. So a woman can not only get a man to do almost anything, she can almost, in most cases, what we found is she can almost say anything about a man and get him in trouble. But the bigger problem that I'm running into when we're talking about these type of situations is that there's men behind these women pushing them to attack these men. That one Ted Borges or whatever, that lawyer dude, the person who got into Cassie ear to go after to Diddy. And now here's my thing. Mind you, and I'm gonna say this again. Diddy gets no pass for whooping up on Cassie, no pass whatsoever. But I would feel like she was rejuvenated after she got to 20 million, and then she never charged him with any. She never put any criminal cases on him. So that in itself tells you that where they pulling all this racketeering and all this criminality for these freak-off contests or freak-off situations that he had. You know what a freak-off truly is? A freak-off truly is just a man of riches or power getting all his friends some coochie. That's all it is. A freak-off is a man of power. P. Diddy. Bringing all his friends together, mostly men, some women, but mostly men, so he can get those men some coochie. And what's going to happen after he get those men some coochie? They're going to look up at him. They're going to praise him for getting them coochie, because everybody understands how hard it is for some men to have sex in this day and age. That's what a freak-off is. This dude was doing some men a service. Now, he was doing some other men a disservice when he was bunking them in the booty, and all that kind of crazy shit. But that's just the debauchery of a lifestyle of a man who's reached a point with his life that he can afford to do whatever he wants. Let's finish seeing what this chick talking about.
Marty.
Right. And the prosecution's challenge to get a guilty verdict was connecting the dots that, okay, you could show the video, you could have the testimony from these victims on the stand that was horrific, but was a criminal act carried out?
Exactly.
I mean, it was a
out
stretch by many legal accounts to try to get a guilty verdict on the RICO charge. But you listened to the testimony and you talked to people close to the case. What was most compelling about what they shared bravely on the stand against their will for years?
Yeah,
I didn't think it was a stretch to get RICO at all. In fact, when I saw that question, Marnie, if somebody asks for drugs,
if it ain't a stretch, then why did it not stretch to it, young lady? Explain how we got to the verdict that we got to if it wasn't a stretch. It's a complete and utter stretch to take a man's desire to have sex, or to have sex with his friends, or to throw a party where a whole bunch of people are having sex. It would be millions of people in prison right now if that was happening. We know that this kind of debauchery is happening all over the world. And the only reason that he is in the situation that he is because he has done this debauchery out front. And because some women or some men who push some women to desire to gain from his debauchery and his desire to have these freak offs and all this, it's fun. These people, I don't know for sure because I wasn't there, but I'm pretty damn sure them people's having fun up in there. And I'm just saying, that's what we're talking about. Throwing this man in jail because he had a party where a lot of people had a lot of fun. Now, you know, if you can sit here and prove to me that he had, you know, underage people in there, or he was forcing people to do certain things, I'd hear it. I might even change my mind. But that's what they said in the courtroom. And the judge and the jury or whatever, they didn't believe it. Let's keep going.
And then the defendant gives drugs. Is that distribution?
No.
Yes.
No. Okay. It's okay. Is that distribution to drugs? Okay. Let me understand. If I give you drugs, that's distribution. But if I'm not a drug dealer and we're at a party and you get some drugs, not even from me, but from in the party, you grab the drugs yourself and I'll have them to you, is that distribution? Because what is she trying to say? That he was just, hey, that's what I'm saying, man. Men are such under attack. We are such under attack. You know, there's no safe graces. I mean, look, once again, no pass for the homie. No pass for P. Diddy. He was beating up on women. That ain't cool. He was dicking what's her face in the booty. That ain't cool. None of that's cool. But should he face more than 18, 20 years in prison for it? Come on, man. Y'all tripping.
It is, I mean, it's just common sense, right?
Well, it's also
So
because
they
who's
were
asking,
clearly
right?
tripping.
Who's asking? I mean, it's Sean Diddy Combs. It's a celebrity. He's got power. He's got clout. He's got...
You don't have the ability to say no because he's Sean Diddy Combs? Now we're talking about the weakness of people and their inability to say no, inability to not do something that somebody asks you to do or wants you to do this. Okay, I understand influence. I understand not wanting to not wanting to hurt your chances of success to some degree. But like Cat Williams said, people like this want your booty and you just gotta not give it to them. It's all on you to protect yourself. And if you're sitting here trying to tell me that you knew that whatever he was offering or whatever he was doing was bad and you did it anyway, you have culpability in that. You could have walked away. You could have said, I don't want them drugs. You could have said, I don't want no freak off. You could have said, I don't want no stuff on my face. You know what I'm saying? Let's get this woman over with.
authority
so
over you.
the idea here is that if the defendant is facing distribution of drugs, and that's one of the predicate acts under
Wait. I don't see distribution of drugs up there.
under the RICO statute.
Okay. So under the RICO, where is it at? I see sex trafficking. I see man act transportation, sex trafficking. So under racketeering, you was trying to say that he was distributing drugs because he had drugs at his parties. Man, a lot of you fools is going down. Raves is over.
I mean, yes, if you handed the drugs over, it doesn't matter if somebody asked. You handed them over. That's distribution. So when I saw that question, I thought,
Wait. If somebody asks me for drugs and I give them to him, they don't have any culpability. Their desire to take the drugs doesn't outweigh my fact of having drugs. Come on, man. See, I'm glad the judicial system is not this chick.
Well, they're going to clearly be instructed. Here's the law. Yeah. And so it looked as though they had that predicate act checked, that they clearly knew that he handed the drugs over. They just wanted to know if somebody asked, did it mitigate that in some way? And
yes,
the law that was given to
it.
them, told them no, it doesn't mitigate it.
It does
then
mitigate
they
it.
believed in the Mann Act. They believed in the prostitution and the illegal sex acts. What is just confounding to me is that they didn't see a kidnapping. There were 2 instances where there were other witnesses who corroborated. They didn't see bribery. There were multiple witnesses who talked about bribery. There were multiple witnesses from the Intercontinental Hotel who said, first he tried to bribe me, I said no. Then he went to my bosses and we said no. Then we went to the bosses again and we said yes, and there was a big bag of money. And there were multiple witnesses and a lot of testimony. There's 2 acts right there, Marnie. 2 acts satisfies RICO.
What? Let me see something real quick. One second. Okay. So for bribery, you can get up to 15 years. Okay? So the charges or whatever, she's still saying that with the Mann Act, he can get almost 18 years. So you tried to wrap all kinds of things, bribery, distribution, all under racketeering. This is what I'm saying. This is just a complete and utter attack on this man because he was a freaky deaky, man. And it's weird that y'all doing this. It's so crazy, the attack on man, that we continue to watch to this day. We've seen so many go through it. Just recently, Shannon Sharp, Tyler Perry is going through it, but it's a straight up man. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy, and it just keeps on keeping on. If you're a man of any type of means, you just got to shut it down, bro. You can't do nothing crazy. You can't be messing around with nothing crazy. You can't, man. It's almost a mistake to mess with like a baddie, because you just don't know what their intentions are anymore. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy.
Over the course of 10 years, and all you needed was an enterprise. And an enterprise didn't need to be a financial enterprise. It just needed to be a group of people who agreed. And there were 3 of Sean Diddy Combs' enterprise present, according to multiple witnesses. Sean, KK, and his bodyguard. I just don't understand how they didn't get to RICO. And I'm shocked at sex trafficking. I'm sad.
Okay, I'm done. This chick tripping, bro. So she just, see, that's what I'm saying. She's saying all these things that all right, so what she's doing is she's trying to do what the prosecution was doing, trying to pull all these little things, little itty bitty intricacies together to try to form Voltron, the racketeering case that could throw P. Diddy Combs, one of the most successful black men that we've known, into prison for the rest of his life. Why? Because he's, did they find any people that were other than Cassie? Because I understand, we saw the video, we know he attacked Cassie. We assume that Cassie, we can definitely assume that Cassie was not the only person that he did that to. But nobody else came forward. Nobody else stated that he did this to him. The only cases that we hearing of are his wife, who passed away. He doing crazy stuff to her. But nobody came forward saying he did the same things that he did to Cassie. If he did, he would have been through under the jail. All the people that came forward, his lawyers proved that they was out for a payday. Almost all of them got contradicted. pretty much all of them was proven to have been compensated and volunteered whatever they was doing. Except for like Kid Cudi. I think he burnt up that fool car. But that's what I'm saying. None of that builds up to a case, as the judicial system proves, that would throw this man in prison for the rest of his life. Let's keep going.
I'm sad about the sex trafficking because
I'm
those
done
women.
with this, matter of fact, we're gonna check out what happened when he got denied bail, because that's some bullshit too. And then I'm gonna let y'all up out of here. It's been a long shoot.
Sean Diddy Combs has been denied bail after the verdict in his sex trafficking case, and here's how he took the news. According to NBC News reporters in the courtroom, Combs appeared, quote, deflated as his hopes of going home were seemingly dashed as his lawyers attempted to convince Judge Aaron Subramanian to release their client ahead of his sentencing. In his ruling, Subramanian cited Combs' years-long pattern of violence as a reason for him to remain behind bars, adding that he continues to be a danger to others and unable to follow the law. Arguing that Combs, who pleaded not guilty to sex trafficking, racketeering, conspiracy, sex trafficking by force, fraud, or coercion, as well as transportation to engage in prostitution, was acquitted on the three most serious charges of sex trafficking and racketeering, and only convicted of prostitution-related offenses. Defense attorney Mark Agnifilo insisted he should be released on appropriate conditions. As Agnifilo outlined, Combs would be willing to put up a $1 million cash bond, co-signed by his mom Janice Combs, his sister Keisha Combs, and Sarah Chapman, the mother of Combs' eldest daughter Chance Combs, and have no access to his private plane, which is currently grounded in Maui. He also agreed to surrender his passport, undergo drug testing, and restrict travel to areas of New York, Florida, and California as necessary to attend court and meet with lawyers. According to NBC News, Combs was passing notes to Agnifilo as the attorney spoke to the judge to argue for Combs' release. After Agnifilo finished, Combs raised his hand and started to get up, seemingly to speak. Agnifilo told the judge he would find out what Combs had to say, and Combs' attorneys rushed to speak with him. Ultimately, he did not end up saying anything. Combs will remain in jail until his sentencing, which is scheduled for October 3rd.
Damn. October 3rd, bro? That's forever away, cuz. October 3rd? That's foul. The dude just got acquitted the majority of his charges. The charges that he still has are barely enough to cover, would probably, what they're saying, would just give him time served. So he'd be out. This is bull jive. He should have got let out. Look. We have to understand that people's vices have always been under attack, but we see as of late, ergo the Tyler Perrys, the Shannon Sharps, and the P. Diddy's of the world, some people's vices have been used to destroy them. Straight destroy them. And it's working. It is working. Shannon Sharp is... Has anybody heard from Shannon Sharp lately? Has anybody really watched even Shannon Sharp's show as of late? I haven't. Tyler Perry, in trouble, taking booty too. Okay. Final statement. P. Diddy ain't shit. Don't ever put your hands on any women. You should be allowed to have sex whoever you want to, whenever you want to. If you desire to make sure that your friends get the freak off and have sex with very beautiful women, I can't complain about that. I know prostitution is illegal, but women do it all the time. All the time. A woman will literally... Alright, if a woman has you buy her a Birkin bag and you fuck, is that prostitution? That's what I'm saying, man. It's the line is so thin, and the effect is so massive. They're about to take this man's whole life away. They've already taken a major portion of this man's life away. They said that he's down to what? He's lost over 90% over his wealth. he's going to be ostracized from most communities. He is not the man that was given the key to New York no more. Destroyed. All because he was a freaky deaky. Look, man. Eventually, we're really going to have to figure out, because this is what I'm going to say. Guys, what this is modern day buck breaking. You guys know what buck breaking is? Bucket breaking is something that was done back in the slavery days where, you know, a slave owner, probably some gay-ass slave owner, would buck break his male slaves by having sex with them. And, of course, you know, if you get buck breaked, you know, you everybody else loses respect for you because you've got duped in the booty by master. And you know, it knocks you down a peg. It weakens your stance as a man. And the problem with P. Diddy was he's buck breaking niggas all the time, left and right. He's buck breaking niggas because he had that power. And he was, you know, and the problem was, and why was he buck breaking niggas and doing all these freak offs? Because the boy had a Tootsie Roll in his pants, and you know, he had to show power some way, shape, or form. And if you got a Tootsie Roll in your pants, you have problems showing power. Now, I thank God that I don't have that problem, you know. But you have to show, it's like the Napoleon complex for dingalings, you know what I'm saying? You got to show your power in some way, shape, or form. So the easiest way is just to have these freak-offs where, you know what I'm saying, you get to wad, you get to make sure all your friends get some coochie, mess with some really super-duper bad women, you know what I'm saying, and they get to see you dominate a man to show your power. And that's the main reason your ass is in so much trouble. But you shouldn't be. I mean, you should be in a little trouble. Not this much. Alright, guys, I'm going to let y'all go and get up out of here. I am Twisted Pup Chris C. Pup Surratt. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Car Concierge Show. Please hit the like, share, subscribe button. And I'm out. Peace.